Hello everyone, welcome to this Uni Taster Tuesday event. My name's Jon Cheek and I'm the founder and director of UniTasterDays. A big welcome to you all. So whether you're joining this live or you're watching this as a recording, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us today. I hope the session is going to be really useful for you. As far as our Uni Taster Tuesday events go, to give you an introduction to what they are and what we're doing, we're basically running every Tuesday, running three Uni Taster Tuesday events. So we're running an event at 9:30, this event, like an event like this, at 12 o'clock, and events at 3 o'clock as well. The 9:30 event is a subject special. So this morning it was media. The 3 o'clock event is a subject special as well, that's law. And then the 12 o'clock event is a general introduction to university, where we'll get different universities every single week talking about different universities and offering their fantastic perspective on a particular aspect of university guidance. And it's all about making sure that you as students, or if there's teachers with school groups watching us, or even teachers watching with their own CPD, provide either really good university advice or go on to make really good university decisions in the future. So I do hope you find these useful. And if you want to book any future events, please just log on to UniTasterDays.com/Tuesdays, which is where all the details can be found about them. As well as that though, I'm always asked at these events about recordings, and we do record every single event, and recordings of this event and all previous events is also available at UniTasterDays.com/Tuesdays. So I'm sure that'll be really useful for you. Another useful link for you is UniTasterDays.com/online. That's where universities themselves put details of their online events for schools and colleges or individual students. So if you want to find out about a particular university and just want to find out about that university, do have a look at UniTasterDays.com/online. There's over 500 events on there already in about 5 weeks. So a great way to find out more about university guidance. As far as this event, to give you a bit more information about what we're going to do today, firstly, there's a Q&A open, so please do use it. Q&A is always really popular, and it's just at the bottom of your screen if you're using a laptop or a PC, and that's where you can ask questions of either UniTasterDays or our speakers when they're not presenting, and it's always really popular. It keeps the session really interactive as well, so do send your questions and we'll answer them as the event progresses. Each speaker today is going to do 15 minutes on a particular aspect of university. And then after that, we're going to return to them right at the end and have a 1-minute introduction to their institution. The reason we do the 1-minute introduction is at the moment, physical open days obviously aren't happening. So it's a chance for you to find out more about a particular university. And because we're featuring different universities every week, it means that if you attend these events every week, you're going to be finding out about 3 different universities every single time. But without further ado, I think we'll get straight onto it. And if I can introduce our panel today. I'll introduce Lydia first. Lydia Mansell is here from the University of Portsmouth, and she's going to be doing a session on making the most of virtual open days, including telling more about what virtual open days are. And then we've got Craig Ferguson as well. Craig's here from Bishop Grosseteste University, and he's going to do a session on managing studies from home, which I know will be very, very, very timely and very, very topical as well. But opening up is going to be Jen Birdsall, who's here from Lancaster University. And Jen's session is going to be on a subject that I'm always asked a lot about, and it's always really popular, which is why we've already run a few of these sessions already, and that is about personal statements. So Jen, without further ado, if I can pass the floor to you, please.
Okay, so everyone should be able to see personal statements, top tips. So I'm going to talk to you about kind of the top tips for your personal statement. If some of you guys are in year 12 at the minute, this is the perfect time to start thinking about things. If you're a parent listening, now's a really good time to kind of help your child get started with their personal statement. So without further ado, so just to briefly cover what the personal statement is. So this is a 4,000 character essay almost that shows a university why you are a suitable candidate for that course. So why would they want to offer you a place on that course? Why would you be a suitable student for that? It can also be used for borderline cases and for providing a basis for interviews. So if your course interviews, they might talk about things that are in your application. But it's worth noting that it's 4,000 characters or 47 lines of text, whatever comes first. So it is a slightly strange way of kind of testing the length of something, but just bear that in mind. So in terms of the actual top tips and getting it started, really, I like to split it into 4 different sections. It works well for your to-do list as well, because you can kind of have the 4 sections and work through it as you wish. You don't need to do it in this order when you're going through it. If one section is slightly easier for you to do now, then do that and then come back to the other sections. So we're going to go through all 4 in a bit of detail, and I'll give you an example of each so you can see what you might be working with. So section 1 is why do you want to study the course? Section 2 is your academic interests. Section 3 is your life, work experience, skills and achievements. And section 4 is the conclusion. So you've got quite a lot to fit in 4,000 characters. So it's worth noting that you need to be really concise with what you're saying. So to start with, kind of section 1, outlining the beginning of your personal statement. Why do you want to study that course? So the university needs to see that you are interested in the subject you're applying for, that it relates to what you've currently done, and you possess the skills to go on to that degree. So this should hopefully be an easy bit for you, why you want to study it. It can be quite difficult to say this in a concise format. There are obviously many reasons why you might want to study a particular course, but you just need to make sure you can narrow it down in a clear format. So just some tips with the start. Start with a short sentence that captures why. In your opening paragraph, you need to show that you know what you're applying for. I think this is really important for courses where you might not have done it for A-level or your BTEC or your Access course. So for example, if you've done A-levels in PE, biology and maths, and you want to go on and do sports science, your personal statement needs to show that you understand what sports science is and that you actually want to study that. It can be said for a lot of different courses that you haven't done a specific A-level in, so just make sure that you're really kind of showing why you want to do that course. And don't say you want to study it because you find it an interesting topic. Why do you find it interesting? Make sure that you're talking in enough detail about these things. Best personal statements get to the point quickly. The number of personal statements that start with a quote is a lot of them. So I'd avoid using a quote unless you think it's really relevant to your course. Some really popular courses, history, law, politics, those kind of ones, tend to have very similar quotes used at the beginning. So I would avoid it if you can. But the opening line is usually the hardest to write, which is why people use quotes, because it's an easy kind of starting point. But if that is difficult, just leave it till last and do the rest of the statement first. So that's section 1. Section 2 is your academic interests. So why do you want to do the course? How does the course relate to kind of what's going on in the world at the minute and what you want to pursue with it? And what have you done in school and college to develop your interest in the subject? So that's your supercurricular activities. So you might hear supercurricular and extracurricular. Supercurricular is anything you do that's related to academia but outside of your A-level BTEC curriculum. So that's kind of trips you've done to museums, libraries, things like that, any extra books you've read, wider reading, documentaries, TED Talks, MOOCs, all those kind of things. So you can really be developing that now. So I'm not going to touch on it in too much detail because I think Craig might talk about some of this, so I don't want to step on his toes, but these are things that you can be looking at doing now, all these online options for you. And have you done anything outside of school or college related to your academic interests? So have you gone to a university's evening lecture? Have you gone to a taster day at a different university for a different subject? That kind of thing. So it doesn't matter if you've done this with one university or several universities. That's not what the personal statement is about. It's about showing that you have gone to do these different lectures, learn about the subject and kind of find out more. So you can go to a range of different universities. Even if you're not going to apply to them, you can still use them in your personal statement and it's still beneficial for you. So this is an example for you. I'm not going to read it out in kind of full detail for you because it is quite a lot of text, but you can see highlighted in red are some of the key supercurricular activities that this student has done. So they were looking at studying economics, and you can see just within this one paragraph, they've stated a MOOC, which is something you can do now online if you're not in school and things like that. I've read a book and they've talked about the book in detail, submitted an entry to an essay competition and also done the EPQ. So for those of you that are maybe deciding if you want to do an EPQ or not, that's a really good way for you to kind of show your academic interest for your personal statements. So you need to be clear and concise within the statement. about what academic criteria you've done. So this would be your section 2. Here's another example just to kind of give you a wider picture. So this is for physics. So they talk about the different lectures. You can see that they've given the detail within that. So the second paragraph, I attended a lecture by Dr. David Starkey, which discussed, etc. So the person who's reading that, the admissions tutor, can see that they did attend this lecture, they know what they're talking about, and you've given a bit of detail about it within that. Okay, section 3. So you've got your section 1, which is the why you want to do the course. Section 2, which is your supercurricular activity, so your academic interests in the course and kind of what you've been doing previously. But then section 3 is your transferable skills, so your work experience, your life experience, and kind of any achievements you've got. So this is often the bit people struggle with. Academically, you've been doing that throughout school, sixth form. It's easy to kind of do extra, whereas extracurricular activities, it can be slightly more difficult. People may have done less of this, but you will have more skills than you realise. And if you are writing your personal statement and you've wrote sections 1, sections 2 and sections 4, you can see that section 3 might need a bit of work. You've still got the time now to work with that. So you can see that really what you might need to be doing to strengthen your application. So to kind of give you an example of some experiences and achievements, so if you're head boy, prefect, mentor, head girl, school council member, if you've got a part-time job, so if you work a few hours a week at the local cafe, that kind of thing you can use within your statement. And any achievements you've got, so charity awards, D.A.V. if any of you are doing Duke of Edinburgh, any academic awards, sports awards, music awards. So it doesn't necessarily have to be linked to your course, but what you need to do is show this how the skills you've got from it are transferable. So great, you might be head girl at school. That's not going to have an impact on your academic ability to study a politics degree, but what skills have you gained from that? You obviously a critical thinker, you've gained communication skills by speaking to obviously teachers, heads of 6 potentially, and other people in your year group. So you need to be able to show the skills you've got from them. I'd recommend with this, having a look at different things that you might have done or things that you're planning on doing before September potentially, and writing down the skills that you may have got from this. It'll give you a good starting point when you write in this section. So here are just some examples of the transferable skills. Confidence, communication, leadership, organisation, teamwork and problem solving. It might be that some of you have done plenty of extracurricular activity if you're doing sports, music, guides or scouts or anything like that, and you've got a lot to talk about. Just pick out the best examples. You are limited to 4,000 characters, so just pick out the best examples of and why you've done these. In terms of the sections, I'd probably recommend your introduction and your conclusion should be between 10 and 15% of the statement, and then the 2 middle sections should take up the big chunk really. So normally when I kind of do this presentation in person, we do have a chat about this, and I didn't want to take it out because I think it's really useful for you guys to think about it in just the skills you might gain from a part-time job, whether that be working in the cafe, whether it be something that's related to your degree, any part-time job that you're doing. So these are just some examples of the skills you gain. So you're in a position of responsibility, you have greater confidence talking to new people, financially independent, which is a skill you're going to use at university throughout the duration, communication skills and increased time management. If you can manage a part-time job alongside your sixth form studies, your college studies, anything like that, that's a really big achievement, and you should be talking about that in your personal statement. And just a final example, as many of you are probably part of a sports team, what skills you might gain from being a member of any sports team. If you want to continue it at the university, so it's good for your personal statements if you're picking a university and they have a particular team that's very good there that you're doing at school. You learn to adapt quickly, team working skills. A lot of sports are team sports, obviously not all. strong leadership qualities, time management and organisational skills. So if you're doing your A-levels, if you are playing netball and if you are working 4 hours a week at a local shop, your time management skills are really developing straight away, and you should be talking about this within your personal statement. So if you're not sure the skills you've got, make sure you're kind of writing down your extracurricular activities and what you think you've gained from them. What have you improved on since doing them? Especially if it's a sport that you've continued, a lot of people have done it for years, that level of commitment is something you should be talking about within your personal statement. So this is just an example. So the two different colours here, so the blue ones are the points they're making. So what do they want the university to know? So we want the university to know they're assistant head of the sports committee, they play a variety of sports, they're captain, they're a peer mentor, and they've completed a MOOC. The bits in red show the skills. So some of these, you might think reading this that they need some more explanation, but it's a good way to see how they've connected what they've done to the skills they've got. And especially if the skills that you particularly need for the degree you're doing. So for example, nursing, you want to show that you have good time management, that you have good communication skills. So you want to make sure you're using these examples within your statement. Make sure you're using the ones that best represent you. If you want to do law, for example, it's your communication skills, your research skills, your time management that you really want to be focusing on. So section 4, so you've done section 1, 2 and 3. Section 4 should hopefully be the easy bit. So you should summarise your personal statement. If you have any career plans, mention them, but if you don't have any, don't worry. Focus on the course. Why should that university offer you a place? Why would they want you as their student? If they're getting 1,000 applications for 250 places, why should you be in that 25%? What can you offer the university? So here's just another example, just for you to visualise what I've been saying. So confident that I have the necessary skills, I'm excited at the prospect of studying, in the future I aspire to be, and a degree from your university will help me meet my goal. So it's just a short conclusion showing that you still would be a suitable candidate for that course and that university. So just to finish with, I've got a few top tips. I'm coming to the end of the time, so I don't want to run over, but just to give you some things that I would say definitely now, make sure you write these down and have these to hand when you are going through your to-do list for your personal statement. So don't repeat information. Do not say in it, I'm studying an A-level in biology and I'm predicted a grade B. They can see that. If they can see it in the rest of your UCAS application, don't bother using the characters in the personal statement. Use it for new information that the university can gather about you. Use your UniFrog. If anyone has UniFrog with school, it's a really useful tool. Do write it in Microsoft Word first. UCAS does not spell check, so make sure you're in Microsoft Word just to kind of make sure you don't have any basic errors, spelling mistakes, extra spaces, things like that. Don't be tempted to plagiarise. Every single personal statement on UCAS goes through a plagiarism check, and it can have a really negative impact on your university applications. It could mean they're all withdrawn, or each university could have a different procedure. So don't be tempted to copy your older brothers or your older sisters. Just do your own original statement. Read it out loud. Make sure it makes sense when you're speaking it. Use an appropriate email address. Draft, then redraft until you're completely happy. It's very unlikely most people will do their personal statement on the first go. You'll find that your first one compared to your final one, the difference will be humongous. Most people tend to write their drafts, have a few drafts, and have parents or carers read over it, their teachers. For example, I did a history degree, so my history teacher read over mine. Personal tutors at school, that kind of thing, will look after it. Think carefully about spelling, grammar and vocabulary. You don't need to kind of use a thesaurus for every word. It'd be similar to Joey on Friends when he writes his adoption reference letter. We don't want that. Universities want to see you as a human. So think carefully about how you're coming across with that. And don't begin every sentence with I. So that is it from me. I'm going to hand back over to Jon, but I will be in the Q&A if anyone has any personal statements, questions after.
Thank you, Jen. Brilliant session. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you for stopping your screen share as well. Yeah, you know what you're doing. Brilliant. I've watched now a few personal statement sessions, and every time I wonder what I put in mine, because I certainly didn't have the support that students are getting now. But it's brilliant. Really appreciate your time. Excellent session. As far as Jen now, she's going to be available on the Q&A, and you'll notice, Jen, that the Q&A is very popular. Your session has prompted a lot of questions, which is really good. That's what we look for in sessions, so thank you. But Jen will return right at the end to give a 1-minute introduction to Lancaster Uni. So if you're watching this and you are interested in studying with Lancaster, Jen will join right at the end and provide an introduction to Lancaster as well. Now, if I can pass to our second speaker, which is Lydia Mansell. Lydia has joined us from Portsmouth University, or the University of Portsmouth, sorry. And Lydia's going to do a session on virtual open days, which there was some virtual open days available before the current situation we're in now, but not anywhere near the amount that is available to us now. So Lydia's session is going to be brilliant. So it's going to introduce them, tell you more about them. And of course, you can find out more details and book onto open days on UniTasterDays as well. So Lydia, without further ado, I'll pass the floor to you, please.
So yeah, I'm from the University of Portsmouth. My name is Lydia. I'm going to speak to you all today about how to make the most of a virtual open day. So obviously at the moment it's probably really frustrating for all of you. July open days have been cancelled or postponed, and obviously we're not sure when we'll all be able to invite you back onto our campuses for you to have a look around. So what some universities are doing at the moment is actually giving you the opportunity to have a look around in a virtual sense. So I'm going to give you some tips today to actually help you out and see how you can make the most of those virtual events. So what is a virtual open day? It's new to all of us as well, so I'm sure obviously it'll be new to you, but it is basically an alternative to visiting a university in person. It still gives you all the chance to compare universities as well, obviously one from another if you're considering obviously 5 universities. It still gives you the chance to compare and contrast those. It will also help you to get you an insight into university facilities, because they'll be distributing videos, there'll be imagery, and there'll probably be virtual tours that you can do of the campus and of the accommodation facilities. So there's plenty going on. It's just obviously not in a real sense, but it's still all delivered to you virtually. So it's an alternative way of looking at universities. So what is actually the benefit of attending a virtual open day? Well, much the same as kind of attending a normal one, really. But I suppose the biggest one is that it takes away the personal and financial commitments at the moment that you probably all have, in the sense that obviously travelling to universities that might be further away from you that you're considering is actually quite a lot of money to get there. It sometimes includes an overnight stay if the open day starts early and you need to get there for certain talks or lectures or things like that, or accommodation or campus tours. So it takes away the pressure really of travelling and the financial commitment to that as well. Obviously, attending a virtual open day still gives you the opportunity to have a look at different accommodation options as well, and actually using virtual tours, you can sometimes explore accommodation really well as well. Sometimes when you're on campus tours at a real open day, because you're with other people, there's kind of a bustle around everybody, and it's sometimes difficult to get into rooms and have a look around properly before you again move on with the tour. So sometimes when you're doing it in a virtual sense, you can really get a grasp of how big rooms are, what they include, look at kitchens, shared facilities, those sorts of things as well. It will give you the opportunity to also find out obviously more information about the course and details about the programme that you want to study in more detail. You'll be able to send in questions to staff, ambassadors, lecturers, and actually have those questions answered as well. Again, sometimes on open days, just due to how busy they are, you sometimes don't always get the chance to ask the questions that you want to. You might need to call up when you get back and feel like you haven't had some of your questions answered. So in a virtual sense, there will always be somebody on the open day that can answer your questions for you. So that's really positive as well. And obviously virtual open days, the same as a normal open day, it's there to check that the university course is right for you and that the university is right for you as well. So all those things are really important. So the kind of preparation that you can do before a virtual open day, again, very much the same as if you were attending a normal one. Really, you need to make sure that you are researching the course that you're really interested in properly, and making sure that you do that really important kind of nitty-gritty research as well about modules, assessment, also social prospects, things that you'll be able to do on your course, year abroads, placement years, all those sorts of things that you need to actually find out about the degree programme before you go to an open day. So UCAS will be fantastic for that. So they're like a massive search engine really for all of the courses in the UK. You might have had the opportunity before lockdown to actually attend HE or careers fairs as part of your schools or colleges as well, which has hopefully have helped if you're able to pick up prospectuses. Of course, university course pages are going to be the most up-to-date for all of you, with all the most up-to-date information with regards to their program. So if you could go onto university course pages specifically, that's going to be really useful. And other places like Jen mentioned Unifrog as well. Obviously, if you use that as part of your school or college, then that will be a really useful research tool and research engine as well. You've got a way of comparing universities, so things like the Guardian University Guide, the Complete University Guide. They will give you league table positions for universities and how well they're ranked according to courses, and obviously their overall ranking as institutions as well. But it's a good way to compare and contrast universities regarding obviously where they sit for the course you want to study. You've got things like UniStats and Discover Uni as well. They give you specific statistics on the course you want to study. So how many students are in employment after 6 months, or how many students, what their current salary will be after 6 months, those sorts of things. Other sources that you can use to actually find out about virtual open days, obviously you've got opendays.com, UniTasterDays, again, the platform that you're accessing this on at the moment. It's a fantastic place to go to find out all about where virtual open days are happening, taster days as well, applicant days potentially. So all that information is shared in a central place on UniTasterDays. You've got the student room as well. From students' perspective, they can tell you about the university that they currently attend. So that's usually run by alumni, and you can also talk to students who are thinking about going to that university like you. And obviously you've got all of your social media platforms as well, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook and Twitter, to get in touch with people. So preparing for virtual open days, there's plenty that you can be thinking about, but it's kind of like a little timeline really to prepare you, I suppose. So firstly, narrow down your subject area of interest. So obviously Jen was talking about this a minute ago with personal statements, and talking about you need to know specifically what it is about your course that you're really interested in. What is it about that particular subject? And that will obviously help you narrow down where you want to actually visit in terms of virtual open days. Check when they're being held. Most universities, if they're holding a virtual open days, they will actually have them on their websites at the moment. They'll be advertising them quite a lot and marketing them to all of you. So make sure you just go on university websites and have a look and see what they're offering. Book onto the event if you need to. Most universities will need you to book onto their virtual events, so they obviously know that you've attended, and also so they can send you information afterwards as well that you might find useful. Following universities that you're interested in on social media for updates is great. They'll be using those platforms at the moment to really show you guys what it's like to study at that university. Obviously, if they can't have you in person, they're going to do as much as they possibly can on their social media platforms to kind of engage you and help you with your decisions. Preparing questions, which I'll come on to in just a minute, and also making a plan for your virtual open day as well, a checklist of things that you definitely want to find out about during your time. So, shortlisting top 5 questions. I would say 5 questions for staff members and 5 questions for ambassadors. And as I said, there will be people on the virtual open day where you can easily ask them anything you want to know about. So for questions about your degree, potentially questions you might want to ask staff members, lecturers, course leaders, anybody that is giving you the information. How will you learn? So will it be based in, if you're doing science-based programs, will it be labs predominantly? Will it be seminars and lectures? How will you be assessed? Is it mostly going to be coursework focused, or will some of it be exam based? What facilities are available when you're actually learning at that university? Will it be industry standards facilities? So will it be like it would be in industry in real life? Will you be being prepared using practical experiences and simulated experiences so you know what it's like in the real world? If you are interested in studying abroad, then what are the opportunities to study abroad as part of that programme, and where are that university's partner universities? So where in the world are they connected to other unis? So whereabouts in America might they have partnerships, or in Japan, for example? If you're interested in doing a placement year, so an industry-based year where you take a whole year out to just work for a year in a particular industry, which placements the students typically go for as part at that university, and also what support can the careers teams offer you as a student to actually find those placements as well, because it can be quite difficult to do that, so you need to make sure you're well supported. And also in general, if you struggle financially, academically, or in terms of your own well-being at university, who can you go to actually speak to as well, and what support services are available? I'll come on to that in just a moment though. Questions you might want to ask ambassadors. Are lecturers supportive? Obviously speak to them, because they will be genuine. They are receiving the experience at the moment, so they're going to be really useful for you to gauge what it's like to be a student at that university. You might want to ask them how much contact time they have on their course, so how much of it is obviously they're sat in seminars and lectures, and how much time is it independent learning. Do they have opportunities for practical learning, or is it all mostly textbook focused? Again, this will depend entirely on the course that you want to study, but it's really worthwhile asking those questions. And then also in terms of the social side and actually being a student at that university, like what are the halls of accommodation going to be like? How do they find the city? Is it fun? Is there lots to do? Is it easy to get involved in student societies and the student union? Especially perhaps if there's a particular society that you want to get involved in because it's something you currently do at the moment outside your school or college in your spare time. You don't want to give that up. You want to find out, what the swimming society is like if you're a keen swimmer, those sorts of things. So those are the types of questions you can ask ambassadors. And again, if they've either done a year abroad or a placement year, you might want to find out about how that university specifically supported them during that time as well. So actually attending the virtual open day, so you've done all your preparation, you've prepped all your questions, what happens then? I would definitely suggest that you have a quick checklist, make sure you've got a good Wi-Fi connection, you've got a notebook and a pen to jot down some questions or some answers that you're given. Make sure you've got a quiet room where you're not going to be easily disturbed with good lighting. You've got those prepared questions ready, and that you've also got an email address that you're willing to give universities so that they can contact you after the virtual open day about information to do with the course you're interested in. And I put snacks there because you never know how long you're going to be on a virtual open day and having a look around, so it's good to be well prepared with food. So find out about loads of different things. Subject details is going to be your most important thing on a virtual open day. You need to find out about module content, how the course is assessed, how it's taught, what are your opportunities for work placements, or just any type of work experience during that program as well. Any practical facilities that are available. Obviously, if you are going to go into more of a practical based job, you're going to need to be prepared for that and make sure that university is preparing you for that while you're at that while you're studying, so that you are more employable effectively once you've left university. So practical facilities are important. Halls of residence, yep, definitely find out about halls. Where you're going to be living is really key to your experience of university, making sure that you're happy and comfortable. Are they clean? What's it like sharing with other people? Those sorts of things. The student union as well, so what type of societies you can get involved in, and the sport and exercise facilities that there are. As I said, if there's something really particular that you're interested in or want to carry on with you at university, that's your time to ask those questions as well and see what the facilities are like. And also you might want to inquire about study spaces. I don't know, what is the library like? I mean, as a student personally, I didn't use the library too much other than to get books out and things that I needed for my course. I used my study bedroom a lot as part of my kind of study space. But you might want to know what the library is like. How big is it? How many students can it fit in it? Is there any other study hubs throughout the university where you'd be able to work? That's also important as well. And again, I have mentioned it very briefly, but does the university have certain support services? It's important for all of you that when you go to university, you know that you're not just going to be dropped in at the deep end and then kind of left to muddle your way through things. So there should be support services in place for you when you become a student. It's daunting moving away from home. The academic jump from school or college to a university level of study is difficult. And so you need to make sure that there are people there that can help you. So academic support services are important if you're struggling with your studies. Making sure that there's any additional support and disability advice. So if you have any learning difficulties or disabilities, that you notify universities of those prior to attending, so that they can make sure that everything's ready for you and any additional equipment that you might need. So ask questions about that too. Careers and employability. basically is services that help you to brush up your CV, help you prepare for interviews. And some universities also have employability and career services that you can use up to 5 years after graduating as well to help you with any future employment opportunities. So that's really important. Again, I have mentioned wellbeing. If you struggle at all at university with any personal issues that you might have, the wellbeing services are there to help you with that. Keeping healthy, with regards to the gym perhaps, and the leisure facilities there might be at that university. Housing support, if you're looking to live somewhere in your second and third year with private rented accommodation, you might need some advice and guidance around that. And if perhaps you're struggling financially or you need some help with your finances, you want to know a little bit more about how what's going to happen with your student finance application next year, those sorts of things, then finance and money might also be a concern, and you might want to speak to somebody and have some support regarding that. And then if there's also spaces that are important for you for reflection, thought and prayer, it's important that you find a university that offers you those spaces to do so. So there's just a few things. You might not necessarily think about it at the moment, but I certainly wish my university was fab in helping me with all these support areas, but it wasn't something that I actually sought and looked for when I was looking around university. It was my parents that kind of encouraged me to look at those sort of things. So make sure that you are doing your research in those areas as well. What about the location? So just coming to the end of this kind of your virtual open day, thinking about where you actually might like to be. This is really difficult for a university to obviously show you what the location will be like on a virtual open day. But the city that you might be living in is equally as important perhaps as the university you attend, because it's that type of experience that you're getting from where you're living. So again, how many social activities are available to you within that city? That will probably depend on how big it is, what facilities are available around the city as well. The size of the city, but also the size of the university that you're going to be attending. If it's a large city, obviously there'll be tons to do, but the university might be quite large as well. Portsmouth's a medium-sized city, I would say. We're fairly big, but our student cohort is about 25,000, so we're a medium-sized university. But other universities have a larger cohort of students, so that might be a question to ask. How affordable is it to live in a city? How affordable is it to live at that university? Well, how expensive are the halls of residence, and also just general living, food, those sorts of things? Is it more expensive in one place that you've looked at than another? And that can be part of your comparison too. And also, how good are the transport links from the university's location? So if it is based in a city, it's likely to have good transport links. If you're further away, perhaps out of a city location, it might require a couple of bus journeys and then a train to get you home or anywhere else you want to be. And actually, how expensive is it as well to get back to university and back home if you wanted to? So all those things are really key as part of your research on your virtual open day. Reflecting after your visit then, just a few things to think about. Is the teaching and assessment of the course suitable for you? Do the social provisions suit your preferences? Is it what you want? Does it feel lively and bustling enough? Did you get a good vibe from the students that you spoke to? What was the availability, standard and cost of the different accommodation options? That is important. You obviously need to make sure that it's going to allow for the budget that you have for when you go to university. And what were the facilities like at the university in general? How did you feel they came across in your virtual tours of the campus and the accommodation? What was your initial perception of it as well? The ultimate question, I suppose, to finish on though, is can you see yourself living and studying there for at least 3 or 4 years of your life? Again, it's so hard to gauge on a virtual open day, but it is a really good starting place to find out some information about your degree, about what the support services are like, the facilities, and what current students think about it, and what staff members, what information they can give you as well. But what I would definitely encourage you all to do, if of course if you do attend a virtual open day and your questions aren't answered on the day, universities will have admission services that you can speak to. You can easily find that information on their websites. Even if you just type in admissions at such and such university, it will come up as a search engine on Google, as a search thing on Google. So you'll be able to find people that you're looking for. So that's about all from me. I hope you all do sign on to virtual open days. As I said, they're a really great starting point. Even if obviously you can't get the right vibe or the right feel of a university, it's a really good place to start your research, and hopefully we'll be able to have you all back on our campuses to look around potentially in the autumn term or definitely next year. Right, John, I'm going to pass back to you now then. Thank you very much.
Lydia. Brilliant. I learned loads about virtual open days from that session. I thought I knew a fair bit, but didn't. Snacks, always a good recommendation. I knew I forgot something for this one today. Snacks are always good. And thank you also for the UniTasterDays mention, Lydia. That's wonderful. Right, if I last but not least, if I introduce our final speaker, that's Craig Ferguson. Craig's joined us from Bishop Grosseteste University, and Craig's session is going to be on essentially top tips when working from home. Craig is a student recruitment officer over at BGU, and I'm sure he's going to deliver another brilliant session to cap off a fantastic event today. So just a shout out before I pass to Craig, the Q&A is very popular. There's over 20 answered questions, and it's an final opportunity for you to ask questions as well. But without further ado, Craig, I'll pass the floor to you, please.
So yeah, I'm going to go over today just how you can manage your studies at home. Obviously that is something that is very topical given the current climate that we all find ourselves in. So I hope you do find this session really, really useful. Just before I go any further, if anybody does have any questions at any point, or you want any more information, I have got some really useful links on the final slide of this presentation, so you can get in touch with us if you have got any further questions. So why is it important that you continue to study whilst schools and colleges are not open? It's really important, first and foremost, to keep your brain and your mind active. Your brain is like a sponge, it soaks up information, so it's really important that you keep that agile and you keep your brain working so that it doesn't slow down and you can still take on new information when schools do reopen. Secondly, it looks really good if you're returning to school or college or starting university later this year. If you can show that you have kept yourself busy, you've carried on keeping your brain active, it looks really, really good, and it shows that higher level of dedication. And thirdly, you're probably never going to have this much free time again. So it's really good to use this period productively. And it's a really great chance to enhance your CV and your skill set so that you look a lot more employable when it comes to finding a job. So where do you start? How do you start? What work should you be doing? It's really good if you start by making a timetable. Set out the sort of work that you can be doing and plan how and when you're going to complete it. You might already have work set from your teachers, but if you haven't, you can think about projects that you could be getting on with. So you could be researching your A-level subjects or looking more into the university courses that you might want to apply for. There's loads of resources that are available online as well, and I'm going to explain those a little bit later on, so I won't go into too much detail now. It's a really good idea as well to set yourself goals and tasks. I've been doing that a lot since I've been working from home. So think about the things that you want to achieve over the next few weeks and months before you go back to school or college. And if you can, organise your own home workspace. For me, it is my dining table. I'm getting used to having all of the space around me, but it can often be hard for us to focus in our own home. So make sure that you have got your own space where you can concentrate away from those distractions. Oh, I've gone ahead a little bit too much. So, like I said, keep your brain active. Find yourself some challenging games or exercises. You've probably been off school or college for a few weeks now, and boredom may well be kicking in. So that's the time to get your brain working and really focus on studying at home. It can be easy to fall into bad habits while you're away from the classroom and having that structure. So it is more important than ever to keep your brain physically active and do work that's really going to challenge you. As well as academic work that your teachers or college tutors might have set you, why not try things like Sudokus, word wheels, crosswords, memory games? There's loads of other things available online. There's loads of apps that you can download that will help sharpen your mind as well. I have got, like I say, links at the end of this presentation that have useful activities available online that you can access if you want to. And on that note, you could try some online learning. If you've not been set any work from your tutors or you fancy some additional learning, check out the recommended resources that are available on the last slide that offer all sorts of different subject materials. You could, if you really wanted to, look at learning a new skill. So like I said, it's unlikely that we are ever going to have this amount of free time again. So it is the perfect time for you to learn a new skill. You might have always wanted to start a new hobby and never had the time. You could learn a new language or research a subject that you've always had a keen interest in. Utilise those online resources as much as you can. Our presence online has increased so much over the past few months. So you'll find a lot of online programs and virtual sessions are free for students during this period. So really do make the most of those resources and those courses that are available. You could start your own website or blog. So if you've got a keen interest in writing, that's something that you could look at undertaking. You could take up photography or start a new art project. Now is the time to utilise this free time that we've all been given. So make the most of the days that we have. It's a great way to enhance your CV. You can really broaden your skill set. Be sure to update and add content to your CV that you think employers or academic staff will be impressed by. So if you're learning a new language, that is fantastic to include on your CV. If you've never created a CV and you need help with where to begin, it's a really good opportunity for you to make a start. There's loads of online resources that can help with that, but it's also a good idea to contact your teachers, your tutors and your careers advisors for help. They are more than happy to help with that sort of thing. So, it's all well and good saying all of that, but how can you stay motivated whilst you are at home? I know motivation is something that I have struggled with a few times during working from home. So we enlisted the help of Mr. Motivator for you. So Mr. Motivator has got a few things he would like to say, and this is his advice to you. We're not expecting you to work for 10 hours a day. Break the day up, go into the garden, exercise, spend time with your family, have a break from the screen, or even reward yourself with a snack. It is really important, especially during this time, that you maintain a healthy work-life balance. Use Mr. Motivator's advice. Set and stick to a routine. Find a good workspace at home, but also make sure that you get enough sleep. It's really vital that you maintain a good sleep pattern, not only for physical health, but also for mental well-being. Use this time off productively and try and maintain your studies at home as much as you can. Communication is also one of the key things. It might seem like a lonely time, but you can use this period to stay in touch with your friends and peers. Find out how they're doing, share work and studying ideas. Social media is absolutely fantastic for that sort of thing. It's also a great opportunity to keep in touch with your teachers and tutors. You can use video calls or emails. They can set work for you. They can help with studying and encourage you to work as best as you can from your home environment. It's important to know that universities are always around and we welcome a conversation with students. We are still very much open. We are more than happy to support students as best we can. If you'd like to chat with any of our staff or current students here at BG, you can check out UniBuddy, and I've got information about how you can find us on UniBuddy shortly in this presentation for you. It's also really important, I do apologise for this very, very creepy GIF. One of my colleagues made this presentation and they weren't a little bit GIF happy with it. There's an expectation that you'd have spent both your time in this lockdown period and your summer working on at least something academic. We know it is a difficult time for you, away from friends and family, unable to go out and do the things that you usually be doing, the loss of independence and perhaps feeling trapped at home. So it's more important than ever to have something to focus on during this time, whether it's a new hobby, whether it's learning a new skill or concentrating on academic work. Universities, colleges and schools may well ask what you have been doing over the last few months, whether that be in an interview or when we return to the academic year, and it looks impressive if you spent this time productively and have work to show for it. So, hope you found this presentation useful. You can access any of our other digital resources online. We do have a lot of online resources available. So you can also follow us on social media. I've got all of these useful links here, and like John said at the start, this session is being recorded, so you can go back and access these links later on. Don't worry about making a note of them. But the main thing to note there, that is our contact information. You've also got the link there to access UniBuddy, where, like I say, you can chat to current students and ask any questions that you do have. So that is it from me. I think I'm now going to hand back over to you if I stop sharing my screen, John.
Thank you, Craig. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do now is come to each panelist and have a 1-minute introduction to their institution, conscious that at the moment at physical open days you can't see universities in person. So I think it's a great opportunity if you're interested in BGU, Lancaster, Portsmouth, just to find out a little bit more about each institution as well. So Craig, no rest of the wicked, if I can come back to you first, just for a 1-minute introduction to Bishop Grosseteste University, please.
Yeah, so I am from Bishop Grosseteste University. I was a student there myself up until my graduation in 2018. I now work in the student recruitment team. We are quite a small university. We've got just over 2,000 students and we are based in Lincoln, so we're near Lincoln Cathedral. We specialise in teacher training. It's what we started doing in 1862. We've been around about 160 years, so we are really, really experienced in terms of what we are able to offer. We're a TEF Gold rated university with a really strong community feel, and that does appeal to a lot of our students. Like I say, if you've got any questions, you've seen our contact information, so please do get in touch with us.
Thanks, Craig. Brilliant session, and also brilliant introduction. Really to the point and really good. Thank you. Lydia, I've come to you for an introduction to University of Portsmouth, please.
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to share my screen and then hopefully this will work. I've got slides, so hopefully this will. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, great.
Okay, so yeah, hi everyone. I'm also Regional Student Recruitment Coordinator from the University of Portsmouth. So Portsmouth is a well, we're an island city university, so we're quite unique in that respect, and we are ranked 21st in the UK according to the Guardian University Guide 2020. So that's our overall university ranking. For those of you that don't know, Portsmouth is in the south of England, kind of right bang in the middle. But as I said, we are an island university. So for those of you that have probably maybe visited the Isle of Wight before, you might have gone through Portsmouth to obviously get there and not known it. So yes, we are we're a southern university. We have a very kind of central campusy feel to our university, which is nice. Although we are a city, you can still walk everywhere within about 10 to 15 minutes. And all of our accommodation is within the city centre. So it's very centrally located, which is popular with our students because they like to go out, obviously have fun, but still be quite close to their accommodation. So that's brilliant. And we're nice, as you can see, surrounded by lots of lovely green space, but we are also a university city by the sea as well. So if you carry on down towards the bottom of the island, we have Southsea, which is a place that students frequently frequent because it's got a lovely, obviously got a lovely beach, a lovely kind of green area where they can sit and have a chat, and also there are lots of independent shops, bars, restaurants in Southsea as well. In Portsmouth City, some of you might have been to Gunwharf Quays before, which is our big outlet centre. That's got lots of our high street shops as well, but Southsea is made up of lots of independent bars and restaurants as well, which is lovely. And obviously the beach is a plus in the summer. We are one of the top 10 most affordable cities for students. So a very affordable place to live, and getting around is easy and free with our uni bus. And obviously our location, we're only an hour and a half from London as well on the train, so we're quite well linked to the city. We have kind of 5 main areas: business and law, humanities, technology, science, health and creative and cultural industries. But please go on our website if any of you have any questions about any particular programmes. And as I said, all of our accommodation is centrally located. Majority is ensuite as well, so you have your bathroom in your bedroom, and all your bills are obviously included if you stay with us at university for your halls of residence, as is the case with most universities as well. Lots of opportunities for student unions, sports and exercise, volunteering and fundraising as well. Our students obviously love the city because it's centrally located as well. They've got lots of sports and exercise facilities and lots going on within the city. It's a very bustling and exciting city, Portsmouth, which is great. If you want to come have a look around, we have a virtual hub, as I mentioned earlier, kind of those sorts of things on the virtual open days. And we also have 2 virtual open days, both in July, the 2nd and 4th. Thanks very much, John.